I'm going to start it and then I'll cut my mic.
Hello and welcome to History Pod. On the 10th of January 49 BCE, Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon River with the 13th Legion during his march on Rome that led to the Roman Civil War. Julius Caesar had joined with Pompey and Crassus in 60 BCE to form an unofficial political alliance known as the First Triumvirate, in an attempt to put pressure on the Roman Senate to pass bills in their favour. The following year, Caesar was elected consul and began to push laws through with the support of these new political allies. After his consulship ended in 58 BCE, Caesar was able to secure for himself the governorship of a number of provinces that brought at first 4 legions of troops under his control. By 50 BCE, he'd conquered Gaul, but the First Triumvirate had collapsed. In Rome, the Senate had made Pompey sole consul and ordered Caesar to disband his army and return to Rome as a regular citizen. Concerned that he would be prosecuted for historic crimes from his time as consul, Caesar instead chose to make his way to Rome with the 13th Legion. The small Rubicon River marked the border between Cisalpine Gaul and Italy, and crossing this with an army was a capital offence. Caesar knew that doing so would be seen as an act of war, and the phrase "to cross the Rubicon" is now used to refer to actions that commit a person to a specific course from which they can't get out. In Caesar's case, he crossed the Rubicon on the 10th of January 49 BCE, though the exact circumstances are widely debated. The Roman historian Suetonius later claimed that Caesar deliberated until a supernatural apparition prompted him to cross, but sources disagree over what he said next, though all versions involve a die being cast. As Caesar approached Rome, Pompey and the Senate fled south. The subsequent civil war lasted for over 4 years and ended with Caesar's victory and him being declared dictator for life.
I thought that your book did a really bad job of representing him crossing the Rubicon and bringing his army back to Rome. So I thought I would just show that to you really quick before we got started. Okay, we've got 23 minutes. Now, what I'm thinking is we've got 4 questions, and we're still doing our exercises today, okay? That's not going to change. But I feel like we could do a break halfway through with those and then return ourselves. So let's go ahead and get started with our Socratic seminar. So here's what I need. I need to monitor to make sure people's cameras are on and track your participation, because I'm looking for, in your class, 3 positive participations from each person, okay? If you're able to do that, you will get yourself 4 test points for today's Socratic seminar. Anything less, I'm going to subtract from that total. So what I need, and this will count as participation, I'd like somebody to go to that first question in the exit ticket from yesterday and read that, and we'll go ahead and get started on our seminar. So who wants some easy participation to start? Not Niall does.
Caesar was from a family that had once been wealthy and powerful and lost it. Sulla even killed his uncle Marius, and he opposed him. How would that make you feel if you were in his shoes? Pick one and explain why.
So you've got determined, angry, or scared. So if you were in Caesar's shoes, how would you feel? Determined, angry, or scared? What do you think?
Me?
You can start. After that, it's a Socratic seminar.
Well, I would feel angry, and that reason is because, well, wait, didn't his uncle get killed?
Yeah. Go with
Yeah,
his uncle.
yeah, I would feel angry because I lost a family member.
All right, this is a Socratic seminar, so if your hand's up right now, I appreciate it, but you can just go ahead, cut your mic off, and let loose.
I would feel angry because this guy just came and killed my uncle.
I would feel kind of angry and determined, mostly angry because my family kind of died and so did my uncle. Probably be like also a tad bit determined to find out who did it.
Because usually when these things happen, it's going to be on the orders of the big bad wolf like Sula, right? He wasn't probably the one that actually killed Caesar's uncle. That's fair.
I think I would be scared because like you wouldn't know if like he wouldn't do something even worse to the family, but also obviously I would be angry because like probably a close family member died.
I would also feel scared because my uncle died and because I wouldn't want anything else to happen with my family or myself.
I would feel angry because my family member just died, and you lost most of things you need to survive.
I would feel scared because you don't know if something's gonna happen to you.
I would feel angry because my uncle just got killed from probably somebody who's getting paid to kill him. So, like, somebody said I forget everyone's names. Um, you just want to know who killed him and probably try to get vengeance or something.
Right. I think there's definitely Caesar goes through that period in his life very early on, right? Because when his uncle dies, he's only 9 years old. I want you to realize that, right? This is when he was 9. It's not like he was a young man like Mr. Plog, right? I mean, he's a tiny little kid. He's like 2 or 3 years younger than a lot of you. So if you're scared, some of you said scared, at 9 years old, what do you think? What are his options? Does he have any options? Go ahead, Isabel.
I think he has like a few options, but they're pretty slim. Like he could either try to find someone else to like live under, and if he can't find anyone else, then you have no like choice. Or he could just kind of run away and live on his own. But both of those options are pretty bad. So he has like really slim options. He could do it, but it wouldn't 100% work out.
Anybody else? What are his options? You can piggyback off of what somebody said, or you can come up with your own idea. But as a 9-year-old little kid, your family's in danger. You're scared, you're angry, or you're determined. What are your options as a 9-year-old child? What do you think? Are there any? Go ahead, Cardoso.
I think I would be scared because you don't know what's going on and there's so much destruction going on around.
Mm-hmm. Emmanuel, you've had your hand up for a while. If you want to go, just go, man.
I think he'd probably look for revenge anytime soon.
Right. Does anybody know, what does it mean to bide your time? If somebody looks at me and they can't tell what I'm doing, Mr. Plog, what are you doing? And you say, I'm biding my time. What does that mean, Liam?
It means it kind of means you're waiting.
It doesn't kind of mean, it means 100%. You're waiting for the right opportunity. Excellent job. You're right. And I think that's kind of what Caesar had even as a little kid, where a lot of us would freak out. I think he realized at that point in his life, it was a little too early for him to do anything. So he bides his time and he plans. And one of the first things that he ends up doing when he's old enough is he ends up joining the Roman army. Not only can he get away from Rome that way and protect himself, but it also is going to get him those skills that he's going to need to start taking people down that wronged him as a very young man. There is no doubt that what Caesar ends up doing is put in him from a very, very young age. Whether he was born that way or not, I couldn't tell you, but it definitely shaped how he saw things. There's no question about it. Okay, that was a great first question. That was like a B+. Let's go on to question number 2. Somebody read it for easy participation. William Cardoso.
Oh, Caesar was the good speaker of the Triple Alliance between him. I forgot the name.
Crassus and Pompey.
Crassus and Pompey. He was also seen as a very tall, good-looking man. Because of his background, he was also someone in
The plebeians.
Plebeians and less wealthy. What's it called?
Patricians.
Patricians were inspired by. Do you need to have these qualities as a leader? Why or why not?
Okay, so that's a loaded question, and some of you have this answered already, so you can answer it. That's great. If you don't, think of it like this. You have a good speaker, but then you also have someone relatable to normal people. What the question is asking you is, do you need both of those things to be somebody who's considered a good leader? Is it good that Caesar has it? Is it something that he needs to have? Or is it just helpful? Or is it not helpful at all? What do you think? Carlos, go for it, man.
I feel like you should have those qualities because, I mean, like, you're like a good looking man. Like, ladies would obviously like look up to you and be inspired by you. And also, you should be an inspiration to everyone and not just people like, like family and stuff. And like now where like you just came from. Like your
Right.
culture.
And he might have been popular with the ladies, but I think also that when they talk about him being good looking, they talk about him like being physically strong, right? He looks like he's somebody like, let's say he hits the gym a lot. Now, some of you are like, who cares? But think about it. As somebody who's supposed to be a soldier, you could argue that that might be a pretty important trait that people see you as physically strong, right? Let's keep going. That was a good start, Carlos. Anybody who has their hand up, go ahead.
I agree with Carlos because it also says that he has most of the population on his side because he can relate to all of them. And I think, like, since he's, like, good looking and like, he relates to them, he's, like, charming, and you need to be charming in order to persuade people, like, to, like, vote for you, or, I don't know, like.
I mean, I don't know if you need to, but it definitely doesn't hurt.
I kind of disagree because it doesn't really matter what's on the outside as long as you're not like a slave or something. Even if you were a slave, there's like, if people wouldn't listen to you, you would have to like work hard, and you can maybe like get a good speech out, and maybe it's like what's in the inside that counts. And yeah, I wrote another thing down. You don't have to be famous because some people, even like on the news, some people do stuff that's inspiring. They don't have to be like, I don't know, famous singer or something.
I think they're good traits to have, but they're definitely not the like number one priority that you should have, because I think there's a lot more other traits that you should have to be a good leader.
I think I kind of agree with Valerie and Carlos. You would kind of need to be popular, and also I think you should be a tad bit relatable. You know, if you have like a good leader, I'd be like, oh hey, I can relate to that person. If you can relate to someone, then you could trust them more.
Um, well, I put no because you do need like to have those kind of, no, you actually kind of don't, but I put no because every person's gonna have different qualities as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I think having a good being a good speaker is good, and I also think being relatable is good, but I don't think the looks are as important.
I think yeah, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I think being a good speaker is good because like if you're trying to motivate people in a crowd, then you can like you don't lose your train of thought while motivating, and then being relatable also helps motivate people. So you can like yeah, I lost my train of thought.
No, I understand what you're saying.
I think it doesn't matter if you're poor or rich. I think what matters is that how you treat the country and how you do for the country as a leader.
We'll go with. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, May. Sorry.
Yeah. I do think I agree with all of those because it's really important that like the look. Sometimes maybe you would look at least presentable, like even if you're wearing sweatpants. Like no one's gonna be paying attention to that if you're relating to them, or if you're like, or if you they're not gonna be, yeah, they're not gonna be like looking at that. They'll be looking at what you're saying, like what's more important if you make it important for the people.
Right. And I think you could argue that like that's the idea of appealing to the common person, right? Like if you saw somebody in politics that stood up and had sweatpants on, you're like, hey, I'm somebody that when I have the opportunity, I love wearing sweatpants. This person obviously gets me. They understand who I am, right? So I think that definitely that is part of that relatable factor. Even though I don't know if you brought it up that way, I think it is. Isabel, we're gonna have you go and then go ahead and move on.
I kind of agree. Like with the good-looking factor, it would be like if someone's like dressing formal and nice looking, you'd be like, oh hey, that's cool. Or if they were wearing like sweatpants, it would be like, oh, they're wearing sweatpants. I wear sweatpants. That's kind of neat. And they have the confidence to wear sweatpants in front of all these people.
You know, I think that a distinctive look is something that it's carried over for thousands of years. There was a guy when Russia first started what was called the Soviet Union. His name was Vladimir Lenin, and he made sure that his head was so bald that it was like if the sun shone off it, it would like blind you because of how much it reflected off of his head. And he had a really thin, wispy little mustache and beard. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it was like a super like really good looking thing, but it was unique. When people saw him, they were like, that's Lenin. I know who that guy is. I could see that guy from a mile away and know who that guy is. And I think that's kind of what Caesar himself was going for. So when we bring up looks, you're right. I don't think good looks matters when it comes to being a leader at all. But I think he wanted to appear unique so that people, when they saw him, they knew who he was, right? And yeah, Cardoso, I would say Stalin maybe to some degree too, but Lenin definitely really had that unique look. Okay, before we get on to, and by the way, we're doing great. Before we get on to the third question, we are going to do a quick exercise break. And I think we're going to do what I call the swimmer. So this is a on your stomach, on the ground exercise. So I'm going to move my chair. Layla's gone. Good. So for this exercise, on your stomach, you can do it on your bed too. Actually, this would actually be a really comfortable one to do on your bed. And for the swimmer, you're going to have your legs up in the air and your arms up off the ground. And you are going to pretend like you are swimming in the water. And you're going to do that for 20 seconds. Okay. And I see Grace smiling, giggling. I'm not going to be the only one that's going to do this. So I'm going to see cameras on and people are going to do this along with me. Beckett, that's you too, man. I know you're in the school right now. That's fine. You can do this. If you want to, if people ask you what the heck you're doing, blame me. I'm okay with it. All right. So here we go. 5 seconds. We're going to do 20 seconds of the swimmer, which means you're kicking your legs and pedaling your arms over your head. 3, 2, 1, let's go. You're going to feel this in the middle of your back by your spine. And if you can get your arms way over your head, you'll feel it in the back of your shoulders too. This is actually a really, really good exercise. It makes me want it to be warm outside. 3, 2, 1. All right. Woo. Sorry, William. All right, let's go to question 4, because I think that one's probably the more important of the two. And we kind of already went over number 3 with the video earlier. So can somebody, for easy participation, read question 4? Somebody not named Not Niall. Sorry, Not Niall. All right, we'll go with Katya. Do you mind helping us out, please? Number 4.
Julius Caesar's last act was to name himself Dictator for life. Essentially, he had complete control over what happened in Rome forever. He is killed not long after by the Senate. In your opinion, what is something he could have done to prevent it, or was he doomed to die no matter what?
Okay. The last person who had really gone this far was probably Superbus, right? And we all know what happened with him. It didn't go well. Liam, I saw you smile right away, right? He was probably the last one to do this. So I'm wondering, was he doomed to die the second he named himself dictator for life? Or was there something that he could have done to prevent his death? What do you think? Go ahead, Carlos.
I feel like he would die no matter what because he had control of like all of Rome, which is a big deal if you like ask me. And I could see where people could be mad on how like he just became control of Rome all of a sudden. But I also feel like some people misjudged him because they didn't know like what good things he could do, like he
Right.
would have done.
It's the status more so than the person. It's very possible, right? The fact that he put himself there, maybe they should have given him more of a chance. Cardoso. Oh, go ahead, Valerie. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think he was doomed to die because they didn't know what he was gonna do, and they were I think they were more afraid than they were mad, because they didn't know what was gonna happen, and they didn't know if he was gonna be like the next Superbus, so they eliminated any chance of it happening.
I agree because they didn't want a king, and Julius Caesar basically kind of made himself king.
In a way, he did, right? I mean, it wasn't in title, but otherwise, I would say in every other way, that's what he made himself.
I agree with Valerie and you guys because, like, I think he's doomed because everyone was afraid. Like, he's a good person. He wasn't meaning it, like, completely. Like, he was still going to be good for his country and still make good choices. But I think they were just too scared because of what already happened, and they didn't want anything else to happen, so they were being more cautious of, like, because history really takes future.
I think he was doomed because he was like, he knew there was going to be a civil war, so when that happened, they thought he probably would go mad with power and then just like plunge Rome by probably like attacking everything, probably, because yeah. And I lost my train of thought again.
No, that's okay. What group
I
of people? Go ahead, William. Go ahead.
I think it was doomed either way, because other countries or even some leaders did not like this, so they probably wanted to kill him, so he wasn't the leader of Rome anymore, or because they didn't think he was a great leader enough to lead Rome.
Right. So what was the group of people? I just put this up in the chat. The group of people that ended up actually killing Caesar. You could say he's responsible. That's fine. But who actually physically did kill him?
Not plebeians.
Nope. Definitely not. Val.
The Senate, all 60 of them.
Right. The Senate did. And you could argue that he himself took what the Senate used to have away from them. So there are a lot of people that think that even though the normal people, the plebeians, loved him, had he made a little bit more of an effort to try to appease or to make the Senate feel better and more included, then this might not have happened to him. Now, I'm not saying that that's true. They might have been jealous and mad no matter what. But the interesting idea is that we're going to see somebody take up the mantle after Caesar when we get into class next week. And when we do, we're going to see that he is going to go out of his way to try to include the Senate in a lot of his decisions, because he saw what happened to Caesar and he knew it would probably happen to him too. He took that example from his own personal history, from what he saw what happened to Caesar, and he applied it to his own life and saving his own skin. Now, I'm not going to go any farther into that because that's all of next week as well, talking about this guy and what happened immediately after. So I'm going to leave you on that cliffhanger. But couple things. First of all, this is a pretty darn good Socratic seminar. Not bad for 9 in the morning. Second thing, your weekly assessment is going to be your opinion of Caesar. Okay? Just flat out. It's going to be an essay question where you're writing 4 or 5 sentences about your opinion of Caesar, and I'm going to give you a couple things in there to guide your thinking, but you're going to need to know some specific examples. Okay? If this was easy for you, you should knock this out of the park. Think of it as your reflection to this Socratic seminar almost. If this was a little challenging for you, it's time to go back and make sure that you've answered all of those questions, and make sure that if you have any questions, you ask me, because your exit ticket today is flat out checking yesterday's out and seeing that you got it done. That's it. Your exit ticket today is ridiculously easy. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about this entire conflict from the perspective of a woman. Her name is Cleopatra. Maybe some of you have heard of it. It's pretty awesome. She's literally involved in every single one of these things, from Julius Caesar to what happens afterwards. She's an awesome person to tell this story from. And then you've got your weekly assessment. So sorry for keeping you 3 minutes past, but I wanted to make sure that all of us understood what was going on for the rest of the week. Once again, exit ticket, just making sure that you had your pre-sheet done from yesterday. I'm going to put these grades in. You are free to go. Today is Wednesday. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Do you have to write an essay for the exit ticket?
What was that, May?
Do you have to write the essay for the exit ticket, or you just say we're done with?
Nope. That's your weekly assessment. Today is literally going back and making sure that you got your pre-sheet done from yesterday. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
So we're having our weekly assessment today.